Wagwan, what's up, man? It's Etienne, and you were listening to the Ambiance podcast.
What up, people? Welcome back to Ambiance podcast. Sitting to the right of me, I got Etienne Maurice. Did I say it right?
You got it right.
I was hoping that I was going to get it right, bro.
As long as you didn't say it like Etienne or Etienne.
You probably get all that, huh?
All of that. But no, you said it perfectly.
Awesome. So you are the CEO and founder of WalkGood,
yes,
WalkGood Productions, and apparel line for WalkGood too, right?
Yeah, man. We got WalkGood Productions, and WalkGoodLA is a nonprofit arm of WalkGood Productions, and we have WalkGood Wear. So I started that with my sister, so she helps me run the apparel, which is the official WalkGood merch.
Got you.
Yeah,
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
well, man, we could go a lot of different ways with this. But first off, I just wanted to start off by telling you thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, thanks for having me.
And thank you for creating a community like WalkGood. I was telling you a little bit off camera how I just really started seeing a lot of your stuff everywhere across different circles. And I was just like, what is this guy doing? And I really just need to know more about it and like hear what your story is, because you created and cultivated such an amazing community, man.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I made a post about it going into the new year. I said, I never thought that WalkGood would be what it's become, and I'm excited to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is WalkGoodLA? Like, what's the best way you can describe it?
So WalkGoodLA, we are a family that brings people together from all walks of life to fight for racial equity through the arts, health, and wellness. WalkGood is comprised of myself, my sister, Ivy Coco. So we started... so I'll take it all the way to the beginning. WalkGood Productions started as soon as I got out of college in 2015. I started my production company, just finished my senior thesis, and I was figuring out what my name was going to be. And I thought about WalkGood. WalkGood is a Jamaican euphemism that my grandmother would always tell me every time I'd leave the house. It's a Jamaican saying that she'd always tell me. She'd be like, "Walk good, Etienne."
So you have Jamaican roots.
Yes. So
you got Jamaican roots.
My mother is of Jamaican descent. My grandmother is from Chantilly, Mandeville, Jamaica. And then my father's from the Ivory Coast, West Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you got some deep roots.
Yeah, I'm a real African Jamaican.
Funny story, man. I actually lived in Jamaica for like a month to a month and a half in college.
Where in Jamaica were you at?
In Petersfield.
Oh, wow. That's
slums,
amazing.
Yeah, out there.
What were you doing? It's another story.
Another story. But yeah, no, I really love Jamaica, and I had like an amazing experience out there with the people, and like like indulge myself in that culture. So I really respect the Jamaican culture.
Special
people,
a lot
about
man.
it.
With Dea. I'm not going to do my patois too much. My sister is way better than I am.
The patois is a different skill in itself, too.
It most certainly is. Not on no Drake shit either.
Exactly. None of that, too. Nah, but going back to WalkGoodLA, so you were talking about, you started off with WalkGood Productions. What year was that?
So it's 2015.
2015.
Summer 2015. I just graduated from Drexel University in Philadelphia. And so then 5 years later, 5-6 years later, George Floyd was killed, Ahmaud Arbery was killed. Really was the start of WalkGoodLA was the killing of Ahmaud Arbery.
Really?
Yeah. And so just trying to identify how I was going to cultivate community, bring people together. And just out of that frustration, and going to other protests and seeing how people were organizing in Los Angeles, it inspired me to start organizing and bring people together and find a space, not only to fight, but to heal. And so June 13th, 2020, wow, it's crazy to even say that. Yeah, June 13th was our first protest, and we went around my neighborhood in Mid-City, from the park down the street from my house, LA High Memorial Park, all the way down to La Brea and Olympic, La Brea to like 6th Street, and 6th Street back to Rimpaw, back to Olympic. And that was like our first like protest run. And, that was when people were like really, I don't want to use the word excited, but they wanted to do something. But we offered a space where people can not only run and take the streets and occupy the streets, but we also allowed people to get on the mic after the protest and speak and share how they felt about the atrocities that were taking place at that time. And I remember just feeling like this energy that I just couldn't explain. And I was like, I can't just stop here. We have to continue doing this. And we did it week after week. But at that first protest, my cousin, Namaste Marley Ray, she led a couple stretches before we did the protest run. And I saw all these, you know, beautiful black and brown faces stretching and doing these yoga poses, many of them didn't even know they were doing yoga.
Wow.
And I remember pulling Marley to the side, and I was like, yo, we should do yoga in the park. And she was like, yo, we should.
What inspired you to just like correlate that to like doing it for Walk Good?
I mean, I just saw, I don't know, it was just an idea, you know. It was literally just a thought in my mind. I was like, yo, we should do like weekly community yoga in the park. And my cousin Marley, she had just got let go from Core Power Studios, which is another, you know, corporate yoga studio in the US. And you know, she was really bummed out about that. And I was like, yo, this would be an opportunity where you could still be able to teach, but also provide a space of healing and make it bigger than just yoga in the studio, like actually make an impact in people's lives who need it right now. And then really, I was not doing yoga. I wasn't participating, you know, in doing the yoga classes at all. I was just, you know, setting up sound, and I'd watch people do yoga. But then I was like, nah, if I'm like spearheading this, if I'm like gonna be the one that's, you know, gathering people and getting people to this space, I have to be with the people and join and be a part of this. And so, yeah, that's when my yoga journey began 1.5 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. And now you're here, a certified yoga boy.
Yeah, man. Certified yoga boy. Certified
Let's
yoga
go.
boy. Yeah, I just got my 200-hour yoga certification with the Tree Yoga, which is a really dope community. For those of y'all that want to be yoga instructors, definitely check out the Tree Yoga out in South Central. All black and brown owned. And yeah, it was an amazing experience.
There's not a whole lot of that in the yoga space.
No,
I had a friend on named Talia Ayers Nouveau. I don't know if you know.
So full circle moment.
Okay.
Talia was one of the first people that gave me like my first sound bath,
Course.
yoga class. But I'm talking about like, this is like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
one of the things she actually touched on was just like the absence of like black and brown or people of color in like the yoga community.
Yeah.
So having collectives like that are really important because of the absence. And
It
I
showed me
think
the possibilities. It showed me, you know, I mean, Jana and J. Cole, those were my yoga instructors. And, you know, they've become part of my family because they've like really opened my mind to what healing and new forms of healing can be. And the fact that, you know, black and brown folks can deserve healing just as much as anybody. You know, yoga is not just for, you know, white moms and soccer fans, you know.
Why do you think it's been like societally like that
Access.
for so long?
Access. You know, I think the lack of resources and lack of access. You know, when you look at yoga studios, it costs what, $200, $300 a month.
Yeah.
Just to take a class, and you know, most black folks, they can't afford it. And then those that do that can't afford it, they're just unaware, you know, and many of them aren't familiar or know another black person that is really
that's very true.
You know, so representation, you know, lack of representation. So now, you know, out of, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement and COVID, I start seeing more people that are more outspoken about their mental health and their healing journeys. And what's beautiful is that Walk Good has played a huge part in so many people's healing journey. You know, just by, you know, showing up in the park, you know, and just coming here weekly, every Sunday at LA High Memorial Park. We were there. Now we're no longer at that park. So we're at a new park. We're at Kenneth Hahn Park, February 6th. Every Sunday you'll catch us in Baldwin Hills at Kennethon Park. So
and it's free, right? It's free. Donations are accepted, but
it's free. All donations. We're a nonprofit organization, so donations are welcome.
Hit the Cash App.
Yes, hit the Cash App.
I'll drop it in the description.
Yes, $ WalkGoodLA.
There we go.
Venmo, WalkGood-LA. But yeah, man, it's this journey, you know, that we call life has been amazing. You know, the fact that so many people's lives have been changed through Walk Good, you know, through my cousin, you know, teaching so many of the classes, you know, the majority of the classes, you know, like she is a phenomenal instructor. You know, she's inspired me to be an instructor, you know, and I think the most beautiful thing about Walk Good is that, you know, we're doing it as a family, you know, and it's way more than just yoga in the park. It's about collective healing, which I think right now more than ever is what we need.
Absolutely. Talk about the impact that yoga's had on your life, being that it's kind of still new to you in the grand scheme of like the years you've lived. Yeah. Like, how has that changed your life?
Dude, it's one thing to take a yoga class. It's a whole other to teach a yoga class.
How so?
Oh my God, bro. Just like doing your left and your right, knowing your left and your right, and focusing on your class to make sure that your class is, your students are doing the postures, the positions correctly, and making sure they have their foot in the right place, and making sure you're calling the right pose for the sequence, you know, and preparing for that sequence, you know. But I've learned that you gotta look at it like a pie, right? Just like there's like different slices to your sequence, and just know that there's a middle, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. So the beginning is the warm up, the middle is the heat, you know, and then the end is the cool down.
Okay.
So, you know, you're gonna warm your body up in the beginning, and then in the middle you're gonna get yourself ready for the pose, the whether it's a balancing pose, and then at the end, you know, you rest and you cool down, you do restorative poses. So this is a 1 hour vinyasa flow that I'm explaining to you. So, by the way. So there are many different types of yoga as well, you know, from different cultures. While, you know, the foundation of yoga is of Indian descent, there's also Kemetic yoga. There's the Keenam yoga, which is the Mayan yoga.
Wow, I had no idea there was so many facets.
Man, there's different. So what I've learned is that a lot of those poses were scribed, you know, in like the temples.
Wow.
You know, back in the day.
The day. Because yoga's been around for a very long time.
Yoga
I assume,
been
right?
around for a while, and what I was learning through the tree. Yoga is the decolonization of yoga. You know, we can go on and on about this, but you know,
you seem like you could teach a class on it, bro. Like a master class.
Not yet.
Professor status.
I would, but I still need to be a student. Still need to be a student.
I respect it.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that I'm learning as a teacher is being honest and transparent with my journey. You know, because granted, you know, I wasn't doing yoga like this a year and a half ago, like I said earlier, you know, so I always remind people that, you know, everybody's journey is different, but you have to start from somewhere, you know, and this is me starting my journey. I like to tell people this is like my mixtape stage, you know. So it's like,
album coming soon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Album coming soon. You know, go get that. Walk Good, Etienne.
Pre-order, all that. Yeah, no, I love to hear how it started too, because I was so curious as to how WalkGoodLA started, and it sounds like it started very organically.
Yeah,
like you weren't planning for it to become what it came, but
it was not.
It just eventually did, right?
But it's interesting. Like so many of my friends always say, like, man, like something is big is gonna happen. Something big is gonna happen for you. You know, like I've always noticed that people have always seen something in me that I don't think I really saw in myself, and I think Walk Good is a manifestation of that. I think Walk Good is, you know, the answer to my grandmother's prayers, may she rest in peace. You know, I feel like this is what she would have wanted me to do with my family. You know? And I think for so long I've always been the connector. I've always been able to like bring people together, whether it was a party or whether it's some type of gathering, whether it was on Clubhouse, you know, I've always been able to bring people together. And I think Walk Good, I've been able to bring people together in a way it's way bigger than me. Yeah, you know,
it's become that way too. And talk about some of the early struggles when WalkGoodLA was like first kind of being created. Whether that's like organization of it, whether that's just building a team around it. Like talk about those days.
Well, I mean, really, it started with me just making a Instagram post and telling people to meet me at this park, right? And just sending the flyer out to all my friends. But I think what has made Walk Good so successful is that we were doing it consistently. We were in the park every Saturday doing the protests, and then every Sunday we do the yoga classes. So whether you couldn't make it to the protest, you were able to come to the yoga class the next day. And it was during COVID, so everybody was focused on, I mean, everybody wasn't really doing anything. People were working from home, and some people weren't working, you know. So the Breathe Good classes, that's what the yoga classes are called, Breathe Good. Breathe Good was a way for people to, you know, be amongst community. And then we started Run Good, which is our weekly Run Good class, which is our weekly running club over at LACMA Urban Light, right over at Fairfax and Wilshire. So we were doing that every Wednesday, and we're still doing that every Wednesday too. And so we're just offering movement experiences, you know, where people can be amongst community and still be able to maintain their mental health by doing, you know, certain exercises, whether it be running, yoga, hiking. We got Hike Good, which is the first Saturday of every month. We go to different trails around the LA neighborhood.
So with that concept, you could really like expand it into like all facets of moving. Like
walk, everything's swim, good. Everything's good. We're gonna do Swim Good. So Swim Good is happening this summer.
Wow.
Yeah, we're doing like community swimming classes. You know, because a lot of times you hear, you know, Black and brown folks don't know how to swim. Yeah. You know, so Swim Good, turning it into a space where people can actually learn, you know, and turn it into a pool party. You can have fun.
I love that. It's like, why not? Like create all these different like legs of it. That's so dope.
I used to think, man, like, you know, I just turned 30, so I used to think that, you know, 30 is gonna be the year where I'm gonna have to really, you know, buckle down and I'm not gonna have any fun. But reality is my life is just beginning, and I'm just now being able to like do the things that I've always wanted to do now as an adult. Is really, really cool.
That's dope to hear, man. I want to take a little step back from Walk Good and talk more about Etienne as like your upbringing and your like your childhood. So you were born and raised in Los Angeles area.
Born and raised.
So talk about that experience. What was life like for you as a child, and give me the breakdown on that.
Oh man, so LA is my home. This is like, nobody loves LA the way I love LA. You know, like, I recognize my privilege in being from here, but I am filled with gratitude knowing all the people that I've grown up with, the people that I've lost, the experiences that I've shared, all the taco trucks, the Korean barbecue spots,
fire ethnic
you know,
food out here.
Rolling up and down Fairfax and Melrose, you know, when Melrose is actually safe to hang. Oh my God. I can't believe what's going on Melrose right now.
It's crazy.
It's a real trip. But you know, I grew up in a Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean household. My parents were divorced when I was like 8 years old. So I was always hanging out with my dad and my mom. My mom's an actress, Shirley Ralph. She was always traveling, you know, and working. So I had a nanny, Miss May. If you know me very well, you know Miss May. You know, she's like my second mom. My grandmother, Ivy Ralph, she would always come from Jamaica and stay with me in LA. And I have a little sister, Ivy Coco. She keeps me grounded.
These names are awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
That is your circle. These are really dope names.
Man, these are the people who made me who I am. You know, these are people who poured love into me and have loved me unconditionally. You know, even when at times when I felt like I didn't deserve it. You know, I grew up having a very privileged lifestyle, but you know, I had a lot of friends and who lived on the other side of the tracks, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of LA. It's like we're our own like melting pot. You know, I was, again, I've been privileged to have the private school friends and the public school friends. You know, I was able to, you know, hang out in many circles and still have my own tribe.
Do you think, sorry to cut you off there, but do you think that plays like a factor in just like how you cultivate people today? Because you've been exposed to so many different pockets of people that like you understand how to connect people,
Definitely. Right? It's social currency. You know, I think, you know, I've always given love. You know, I've always like to, you know, I'm the type of person to pick up right where we left off. You know, we might not have spoken, you know, a couple months, maybe a couple years, but I'll always have the memory of the good times that we shared, you know, and I never want to be awkward with people who, you know, who I have genuine love for, you know, and I feel like that's carried throughout, you know, my life. I express it through my social media page, you know, I'm always very transparent, you know, with my journey and the connections that I've made throughout the years.
It's funny you say that, because we were talking a little bit before this started. I was like, is there anything you don't want to talk about? And you're just like, you know, I made it to where I am because I talk about everything. You're transparent, right?
Yeah, so, man. I definitely, it's like, I think there are a lot of people who know my story, but, you know, they might get to know now. You know, there's always an opportunity. And here's what I say about that is like, you know, you never know whose life you might make an impact on just by telling your story.
Very true.
You know, you might save somebody's life. So backstory. So after I graduated high school, I went to a small HBCU, historically black college and university, in Austin, Texas, called Houston Tillotson University.
Wow, never heard of it.
Yeah, most people haven't. But go Rams, all my HT Rams. Though that's like it was like a small school in East Austin, Texas, and I was there for 2 years. I learned really how to shoot and edit, and I was shooting behind the scenes concert footage for like Kendrick and J. Cole and Big Sean, and like this is like when like vlogging was just becoming a thing, and you know, it was just before they all blew up and they became who they are now.
They're in the mixtape phase.
Yeah, there's definitely the mixtape phase. Definitely the mixtape phase, and you know, I think I was just learning who I was as an artist at that time. But I was also wild, and I was not paying attention to school at all. I was like, man, this is fun, but I was getting fucked up all the time, man. I was just like not focused at all. And then, but I still managed to like get like decent grades. I was like a B student, right? Okay. And then I transferred to Drexel University in Philadelphia, and I just started focusing solely on film because at HT they didn't offer a film program. And so when I transferred to Drexel University, like that's when I really learned the craft of filmmaking and like learning.
Did you always know that film is what you wanted to do?
Always,
or do you
always. You know, I grew up, you know, in Hollywood. You know, my mom was on one of the most popular sitcoms of the 90s, show called Moesha.
Okay.
And you know, that was the show that was like my first introduction to Hollywood. And every time I show up on set, you know, with my mom, I just remember just being in awe of the lights, the camera, you know, the directors, the actors, and then seeing the work that they were putting in on TV, it just blew my mind. Okay. So I always knew that I was going to be in front of the camera or behind the camera. So went to Drexel, studied film and video, got my Bachelor of Science there. But that road was not easy as well. I almost didn't graduate.
Wait,
twice.
Please explain.
What happened? 2011, had a DUI.
Okay.
Drove my car into a tree. car flipped over.
Wow.
Had a brain injury, had a traumatic brain injury.
Yikes.
Went to the psych ward.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Had microscopic hemorrhaging on my brain.
What age were you?
I just turned 21.
Wow.
I just turned 21. I was like a month into turning 21. And took leave absence from school, fell into a deep depression. I was manic depressant, so not only was I depressed, but I was also manic as well.
What does that mean?
You just have the best way I can put it, for lack of a better word, is I legit lost my mind. Wow, so I just had no sense of where I was, or no sense of reality, and just really enraged, super depressed.
Sounds
like didn't want to get out of bed. Yeah, and this was all because of a brain injury.
Wow.
Me drinking and smoking too much led to the brain injury, then me wanting to drink and smoke some more because I wanted to really numb myself of this pain. And then being depressed because I feel like I didn't have any friends anymore, because nobody wanted to, hang out with me because they thought I was crazy or thought I was on drugs, when really I was just, out my mind.
And then dealing with the DUI too.
Yeah,
it
was a shit show. It was the worst. That was probably one of the worst times of my life.
Wow.
But I say all that to say is I think that, growing up in LA, I felt like I had really grow up fast. But I think all that, kind of caught up with me as I went to college, right? So going to college was like that wake-up call. So take a leave of absence from school, from Drexel. Took 9 months off of school, and I was really embarrassed at that time, because I was like, damn, now I'm going to go back to school and I'm a grade behind.
Yeah,
not realizing at that time, that shit don't matter.
Really
nobody
don't.
cares.
Yeah, I was the same way. It took me 2 extra years to graduate.
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
nobody
after you get out of it, you're like,
yeah, it's okay. It's all right. So now I go back to Drexel after having taken a leave of absence. And, the doctors told me, don't smoke, don't drink, because it's not good for your brain. Just don't do it. And I was like, all right, cool, you got it. So I was sober for a month or two. And I go back into the same old thing, man. Then I went to a party with some friends. And the next thing you know, I woke up in the hospital that next morning because I got shot twice in my leg.
Wow.
Twice in my leg. Raised bullet with my eyebrow.
What? Yeah,
I was shot by a father and a son after leaving a party, trying to go to another party. They tried to rob me of my iPhone and my wallet. And I ran away from them. They shot at me 5 times, hit me 3 times.
Wow.
An off-duty cab driver, saw me in the middle of the street begging for help, took me to the hospital. The hospital in that neighborhood didn't have an emergency center, so they had transferred me to the University of Pennsylvania hospital. And my life was saved. I don't remember any of this happening. The only reason why I know this is because of the accounts of the police report and surveillance footage of me running away from the people that shot me. Wrong place, wrong time. But that was the wake-up call. That was the real wake-up call for me, because now here I am. And so every November 9th, I always post and share my story towards sobriety, because it was quite the journey.
That's insane. You have somebody looking over you to make it out of those experiences, man.
Man, it's true. It's true. And that's why I say, I think God definitely has something in store big for me, and I think that is Walk Good. It's I think this is those moments where my grandmother always remind me to walk good. Now I'm reminding other folks to walk good.
I love that. And you seem like right now, just your energy and your aura is just kind of radiates happiness and good vibes. And
yeah,
you know
man.
what I mean?
I ain't got nothing to be sad about, man. We woke up this morning.
Definitely.
Yes, don't get me wrong. You are allowed to feel sad about whatever circumstances you might have, but it's the willingness to actually see tomorrow and have that hope and that faith that's going to carry you to that next day. I try not to tell people you should do this or you should do that. No, you are fully capable and allowed to feel those feels, but know that, you know, tomorrow is going to hurt, but then the day after that, it's going to hurt a lot less, you know?
Yeah, it took a lot of like living experiences for you to have this mindset, right?
100%.
Like you weren't always thinking this way, right?
Hell no, bro. No. But I had to get through all that just to get to the place that I'm at right now. Like, even in my yoga journey, I always would tell my friends or my sister, my cousin, I would be like, man, like I wish I was doing yoga like back then, so none of this shit would have happened. But then on the flip side, if none of that shit would have happened, I probably wouldn't have found yoga.
That's true.
I probably wouldn't have been as passionate about my healing journey had I not gone through the past trauma and tribulations.
And to add on to that, I feel like since you've experienced so many downs in your life, it makes the ups that much more sweeter, right?
100%.
Like you're able to appreciate it more.
Without a doubt. You know, I'm blessed. I'm grateful. You know, yes, there might be times where, you know, I might not feel as good, but knowing that I woke up, I have a family, you know, I'm here. I'm breathing good. I'm walking good.
Let's go. I love that little pun. Man, that reminds me of something that Kobe once said on like a podcast. What I think it was with Jay Shetty on Purpose. He said something about to the effect of like emotions like come and go, people come and go. Like the important thing is to accept them as they are.
Acceptance.
That way you can impact them. It's like, okay, like you're nervous about this, you're having anxiety about this, like. If you accept it, then you could start to like think about like, okay, why am I feeling nervous? Why am I having anxiety?
Being able to step away and look it from a bird's eye view.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like the Matrix.
Yeah, which is very relevant in today's world. We're damn near turning into the Matrix right now.
Literally, metaverses and all.
Yeah. So talk a little bit more. I want to talk a little bit more about WalkGood.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for me, my focus is finding different ways and avenues for us to heal collectively, right? So, you know, really maximizing the Breathe Good community with the yoga classes is of the utmost importance for me, while still being able to focus and shed light on the lives that we've lost, you know, at the hands of police brutality, at the hands of racial violence, and just really trying to bring some type of peace into people's lives. I think the most beautiful thing about yoga is, you know, I remind people it's not a performance, it's a practice, right? And so you find peace within yourself and you're not focused about the people around you. And I feel like, you know, if I'm able to continue to introduce people and just tell people that, like, you know, show people that yoga is cool, then I feel like it'll be able to bring some type of peace to my community, right? So it starts with the community, with the people around you. So yeah, that's first with Breathe Good. And then with all our other programs, Run Good, Hike Good, I want to continue to build these communities, right? And want to remind people that, you know, you have a home to come to, as the police sirens pass us.
Man, downtown LA, yeah. Can't escape it.
You know, so, you know, I want to continue to build what we have here in LA, and then be able to go to New York, like we did New York last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we went to New York. We were in Harlem and Brooklyn. We also went to DC. We also went to Martha's Vineyard. I wanna have a health and wellness Walk Good festival. You know, a music. Yeah, wouldn't that be dope? Like, I think it would be tight. Like, bring all my friends and all their brands together. Like, it would be dope. Just
if you do that, you gotta let me cover it.
I want to do a little. Of course, you got it, man. You got it, without a doubt. Like, imagine if like KOI, Solection, Walk Good, we all come together and all of our friends. We do like a flea market.
That'd be fire.
You know, black and brown owned flea market in the neighborhood, a yoga class, and a music festival, all in one.
All the independent food companies coming out.
I would love to do something like that and make that like a yearly thing. So we also have our 1 year anniversary every June 13th, or the weekend of June 13th. We're gonna have our artist festival where we highlight local Black and brown artists in the neighborhood and of Jamaica to showcase their art. And yeah, I wanna just be able to have dope experiences, you know.
Yeah, so
healing experiences.
That's very important too. Yeah, healing experiences. So you have big goals for it. So talk about, like, at first, obviously it was a little bit more innocent and it started growing organically, and now you're at a point where you're probably, you know, obviously taking it a lot more serious,
100%,
and strategizing and planning. So talk about that, like, growth for you, and like, you're at a place now where you're just trying to expand it, right?
Man, I need interns, yo. I need interns. That's the reality of it.
Okay.
If you would like to intern for Walk Good, info@walkgoodla.org.
There you go.
Yo, I need help. Because it is me, my sister, and my cousin. It's only 3 of us right now. And so now we're building our board. And now we're a nonprofit, and so I'm right now just I'm trying to just do one thing at a time.
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot because you have so much that you guys entail.
You know?
But you've grown so fast at the same time.
We've scaled tremendously, and that's a beautiful thing. But I don't think I was ready for it. I don't think I really. You're not. No, you can never be ready for it. But
yeah,
my aunt, Auntie Carolyn in DC, we were having a conversation. After I did our yoga class in DC, she said, people need people. And it's just a simple statement, but it's so true. You know, like, this world cannot function without people.
That's a fact.
We would not be able to do the things we do if we didn't have somebody to help get us there, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm now in a space where I'm allowing the help that comes, and I'm not afraid to ask for help either. Mm-hmm. You know, I think a lot of us are too prideful to ask for help. And also, if we can't afford the help, you know, just say, hey, yo, I might not be able to pay for this one thing right now, but know that as things are growing, I got you. And if your friend that wants to help you out sees your growth and sees your potential, they're gonna help you out.
That's a fact too. You know? And that plays into building relationships with people, right? Mm-hmm. Too, because, like, it's one thing to ask somebody that you met one time, or, like, you know what I mean, haven't nurtured a relationship with, but, like, if you have a genuine relationship with that person, they're gonna want to help you out that much more, right?
100%. If you come from a genuine place, man, and they see the love that you pour and the passion that you pour into that thing, you know, people are gonna acknowledge that.
Pure intentions, right?
Man. Intentional. Okay, you gotta be intentional about whatever you do, man. I'm not gonna lie. I had no intentions. I was very go with the flow, but I wasn't specific, you know. And I think now I'm starting to get more and more specific about what I want in this life, what I want with Walk Good, and what I want this life to be. Yeah,
talk about, like, seeing the growth firsthand. Like, how many people pulled up to that first Walk Good event versus how many people pull up now?
So the protest, we had like 300, 400 people. Bro, Karuchi was at the protest.
Oh, shit.
Bro,
okay.
Karuchi came to the protest. I was like, yo, it's a wrap. It was like, nobody can tell me nothing. Nobody can tell me shit. And then, you know, the protest started to die down. You know, a lot of people just didn't feel like the protests were doing anything. But I felt like the protests were definitely doing something. It was visibility. You know, we were getting eyes on the important issues. We were making people focus and remember the names that we lost. And at the first yoga class, we had 35 people. I looked at the photo the other day, and I counted everybody. It was 35 people. And then the next yoga class, 35 turned into like 50, and then 50 turned to 60. 60 turned to 100. Okay. 100 turned to 200.
So it was a slow.
Oh yeah, bro. It was because word of mouth, yo. Everybody was seeing what we were doing on social media. Friends were telling their friends, and then it just started to blow up. And by that time, we were taking over the whole entire park. Yeah. Yo, it was like 300, 400 people in the park just doing yoga. People ain't never seen nothing like that before. I thought that was regular. And I pulled Marley aside. I was like, yo, don't they do this all the time? She's like, no, Etienne. they do not do this at all. This is different.
You started incorporating like partnerships with brands, right?
Yeah, man.
And
then, you know, I met Danny and WalkGoodLA and Christian from KOI, and they, you know, Christian was a homie of mine, you know, back in the day. We all had a bunch of mutual friends, and he came to the yoga class, and he was like, yo, I want to figure out how we can collaborate and do something. And then it was the 5-year anniversary for KOI, and I got on the phone with Danny.
Oh, it's Love. He does that Love Week, right?
Yeah, Love Week. Okay. Love Week happened, and he wanted to, like, you know, figure out a way to, you know, provide a space of wellness for his community. I was like, damn, like, this is like people who I look up to, like, and now, like, I'm working with.
That's
and
awesome.
Like providing a space of healing. Now we're collaborating. We're bringing all of our communities together.
Because they're kind of crossovers too.
Yeah, man.
You know, like with the audiences.
Music, culture, wellness, all together.
Yeah.
In one. Yeah, man. It's been dope. Like, you know, I'm so grateful for the connections that I've made, you know, especially with, you know, KOI and Selection and, you know, our piece of the pie. They were the ones that they put together the black-owned business, small black-owned businesses for, you know, the black markets that we have at our yoga classes too. So, you know, I've met some really, really cool people.
Absolutely.
I've met some really, really dope people and, like, really built, like, genuine friendships with these people too.
And I love how organic it is.
Yeah,
like,
man.
it's just all...
Danny helps me print out all these shirts. Shout out to Omar.
There you go.
Omar and Danny, man. Y'all made this happen.
He blessed me with a hoodie too. And
yeah, man. You got your Roots and Culture hoodie.
I'm gonna wear it, man. I'm gonna rock
it. Definitely.
Let's talk a little bit more about, like, your artistic life outside of WalkGood, because I know that you do artist management as well, right?
Yeah,
so it's kind of just...
It's so weird even saying that now. Like, saying that out loud is like, I manage artists now. Yeah, so I manage Leland, talented singer-songwriter from Houston, Texas, and my cousin, Namaste Marley Ray, who's a health and wellness you know, advocate, yoga instructor, voice actress as well. You know, so I'm learning how to be of service to two specific human beings
that are in kind of different pockets,
different worlds, completely different worlds. But back to my point of being the connector, I'm just now getting comfortable in knowing that I can make things happen for people in ways that I just can't explain. Like finding singers and songwriters to connect with Leland, finding brands to connect with Marley.
Okay.
You know, and pitching them, you know, because I believe in them. You know, I think that's like the most important thing about being a manager is like you have to really believe in the person you're representing. And, you know, and they trust me.
It's true, yeah.
You know, and
you have a pre-established relationship with these people.
A pre-established relationship, 100%. And I just want them to be the best that they can be in their fields, you know. And I've had managers. I know what's a good manager. I know what's a bad manager. And the good ones are the ones that are always going to be putting you into rooms and connecting you with people that you need to connect with, that will give you those opportunities.
Yeah.
You know,
it's important to have friends who mention your name in like a room full of opportunities, right?
100%. I do. I mean, shoot, Leland, he just did his first national anthem performance, you know, at the Clipper game of the year.
Fire.
Yeah, so excited for, you know, he has a couple songs that are gonna be dropping. Marley, she's teaching with Open, which is like this health and wellness app. They offer like breathing exercises and yoga classes and different wellness virtual experiences. And Marley's been doing that as well as teaching yoga classes. Yeah, she's like doing so many amazing things.
Yeah, sounds like a jack of all trades.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think like now in 2022, you got to be able to have multiple streams of income. You know, really utilize all your talents, but make sure that you focus on one thing and then you go to the next. You can't just do all this at the same time.
Yeah. So it's really important to have like time management and
organizational skills. I'm still trying to like get in the habit of like write things down. It's like I'm just acknowledging I'm now being more aware of where I'm falling short at.
Yeah.
Because you're of no good to anybody if you're not good to yourself.
I love that.
If you're no good to like, don't forget about you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget about me all the time.
Because you're so focused on building these other things in your life.
But you're of no good if you're not, working on you, Like I make sure that when I wake up in the morning, I try my best not to get on my phone first thing. And just give like that first hour, first 30 minutes to yourself. Don't give it to nobody else. Be selfish with your energy. Be selfish with your time for that first hour because you deserve it. Just be with you and your own thoughts. I'm now putting my phone like downstairs,
just being away from it.
Yeah, just being away from it. Or like putting it like across the room, and put your alarm on so you have to get up out your
Honestly,
bed.
It has this crazy mental effect because I do variations of that as well. Like I'll be in my living room chilling, put my phone in my room, and I just feel like alleviated from like anxiety for some reason. It's weird.
Yeah, man, it's hella weird. Don't let the computer use you.
Use it.
You gotta use it.
Okay.
That's if there's a little bit of knowledge that I'm dropping today.
Sprinkle that on.
Yeah.
I love it. What are some things that you may not be into right now that you want to maybe get into in the near future?
Golf. I want to golf.
Okay.
I want to get into golfing. My uncle, he's like this. He loves golfing. He has this thing on Instagram called Hackerish Golf. And he just like vlogs his whole golfing journey. He goes all these different golf courses all across the US and beyond. And I've always said like I was gonna get on the field with him and take a couple swings, but I feel like I really, really want to get into the golf. Also, as of late, I've been listening to a lot of jazz.
Interesting.
I listen to a lot of jazz music. I put on my Wynton Marsalis Spotify playlist or my Charlie Parker playlist, and my Theonalis Monk playlist. I'm really I want to learn more about jazz musicians. And it's weird. Like I feel more creative when I listen to jazz music.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like when I just listen to music without words. It's not lo-fi. Like it's traditional like jazz music. I don't know.
Soul in it.
Yeah, it has a lot of soul. But I'm also like when I listen to jazz music, I feel like the presence of my ancestors.
Really?
Yeah, man. It's like I can't explain it, but I really love listening to jazz. Like on my driveway, my drive up here, I was listening to jazz the whole entire time.
Wow.
And I haven't been listening to jazz like that before, but I was writing my short film this past week. I just started playing it, and I was like, wow, I just started to come up with like ideas, and things just started to flow. So
I love that subtle drop too. You got short film.
Yeah,
you haven't even mentioned
man.
that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a storyteller. I'm a filmmaker. That's like where
Very true.
all this started for me. So
Okay. What I'm like just realizing right now, as like you're sharing your story, is just how different of a person and how different your mindset is now versus being 30 years old versus like your mindset when you told me those stories when you were 21.
Yeah.
Like you're completely
9 years, completely different.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, shit, we're not the same people we were an hour ago.
Very true.
You know, we're all growing.
And who you are today is going to be different when you're 35, whatever that age is.
You know, these are all stages of life, man. Growth, and acknowledging that growth. You know, I feel like it's so weird just being in like this space that I'm in right now, just like sharing my story and talking about, you know, how I've evolved as a human being. Shoot, 9 years ago, I never thought that, you know, I'd be telling my story in this way. I also don't think that I would have had a testimony. You know, I don't think I really would have had that much of a story to tell had I not gone through what I went through.
Very true.
You know?
It built a lot of character.
I don't think Walk Good would be Walk Good had
That's
I
true.
not been through.
You had to go through those things, right?
Have
so
to.
with that being said, when do you like take a step back? Because you're obviously busy, you have a lot of things going on in your life. When do you take a step back to reflect on everything that's happening or is currently happening right now? Like, do you do that? Or?
Yeah. I think last year I was like doing this like start and stop. I was in like the start and stop period of writing in my journal and reflecting, doing my morning pages. And now after having this conversation and being a man of my word, I just have to get back to doing that. Because I think when I write my thoughts out and my experiences out, I'm able to remember a lot more. You know, I feel like sometimes I'll be coasting, I'll be forgetting and not taking the time to really look back at some moments.
That makes sense. I used to play ball in college and like throughout my life, and I used to have a coach that always used to say like, read it, write it, remember it.
Yeah.
Like, so if you write it down, it's cognizant in your brain. So that makes sense.
It's on the page, you know. So I think that's gonna be like my way of reflecting and looking back. Yeah, I think that's how like I'm able to like just take the time for myself, you know.
Yeah, it's important. Dope, man. What do you have coming up next for yourself? Anything you want to plug for yourself?
Yeah,
or
man.
WalkGood?
WalkGood, February 6th, New Park, Kenneth Hahn Park, in Baldwin Hills. Backyard in Baldwin Hills, short film I did with my brother Dennis Williams. We're doing our film festival run coming in 2022, which is this year. Wow, it is 2022.
It is.
It's a trip to say
it's
that.
a trip.
And we have a whole bunch of other projects that we're going to release under the WalkGood Productions banner. Me and my producing partner, Jay Peshwaria, got a whole bunch of projects that we're going to be dropping. And yeah, man, if you see WalkGood, you know it's us. Walk good, be good, feel good, walk good.
That's the mantra.
That's the mantra.
Let's go for all
Yeah,
2022.
All 2022.
Where can people follow
and forever.
and forever? There you go. Where can people follow your journey, like on socials?
Yes,
and all the channels?
WalkGood Etienne, WalkGoodLA, WalkGood Productions. Follow Ivy Coco 23, Namaste Marley Ray. All those people and follow their stories as well because they're just as important.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing this story. Honestly, it was really a quite a life that you've had.
Yeah, we kind of jumped everywhere. I know, but it was
it all makes sense.
It all makes sense. Everything is in divine order. Everything is in divine order. You are perfect just the way you are. Your life is happening just the way it needs to happen. If you want it to change, you have the power for it to change.
Absolutely. I love that.
Big facts.
We're going to end on that.
Yes, sir.
From Ambiance, this is Levi, Etienne Maurice.
Peace, peace.
We
Thank
out.
you, man.
Of course. Peace.
My man.